afternoon. I'd like to thank Haldipurkar sir for including me as part of his prestigious course. And since toric IOLs is a very wide topic, let's just directly get into it. So when you talk about refractive cataract surgery, it is these two IOLs that have changed the game completely, that are multifocal IOLs and toric IOLs, and with these we can really get good results. Multifocal IOLs don't need that much of understanding, in the sense that if you implant the IOL, it's the optics of the IOL that does most of the work. If you do everything else right, it works well. Toric IOLs is nothing special. It's just a lens which corrects the cylinder. Everything needs to be done by the surgeon. Everything needs to be known by the surgeon, and there's a lot to know about it. You may not always get a 100% result, in the sense that you will always be left with some cylinder. And the reason for that uncertainty is because there are too many potential variables and sources of error. So the aim of this presentation is to understand them. We don't want to eliminate them because we can't. We have to accept them, we have to understand them in detail, and we have to take maximum effort to minimize them. And I guess if we do that, our work will be done. So let's consider 1.25 diopter at 20 degrees as the cylinder. What are these potential sources of error? The first one is the measurement. Is it actually 1.25 at 20 degrees? How do we know? The second one is translating this into an IOL. So what is the power of the IOL needed, at what axis has to be played, is based on the toric biometry. The third one is knowing the reference marking. I mean, when the patient lies down, there's always some cyclotorsion. So what is the 0, 90, 180, 270 degree mark? And the last one is the intra-op alignment by the surgeon. So if you take these four sources of error, the last two, the reference marking and intra-op alignment, are surgeon-dependent factors. If this is done well by the surgeon, you still have two other sources of error. But just see how difficult it is to get a good intra-op alignment. You can see that a 150 degrees and a 160 degrees is so close to each other, and we know a 10 degree error causes about 1/3 loss of toricity. So it has to be so precise. But even if everything is precise with respect to reference marking and intra-op alignment, you have two sources of error. The biometry is very important because you're converting the corneal astigmatism into the IOL plane. You're considering posterior corneal astigmatism, and you're taking another variable, that is surgically induced astigmatism, into play. And if the biometry also is absolutely accurate, according to me, the biggest and most important source of error is the measurement. So let's talk about the measurement. Why is measurement so important? Because you have so many different devices based on different principles that are used to measure. And if you place the same patient at the same time on all the devices, you're bound to get different results. And still you use that one result. I'll just show you an example. This is an IOL Master 500, and it's considered a good, not very new, but a reliable source. But this is a patient showing in the right eye minus 1.46 at 14 degrees. And after 2 minutes, if I do the same thing, it's minus 0.8 at 4 degrees. Not only has the axis shifted by 10 degrees, but the magnitude has also changed drastically. And mind you, each of these readings is an average of 6. So, I mean, what does that mean? What does that imply? What is the solution? Are we supposed to like just throw out our old machines and get new ones, which people claim are going to be better? Actually, that's not how it works. You have to realize that no machine will be perfectly accurate or predictable. We have to do biometry ourselves, especially for toric IOLs, and that's what I do. Once you do your biometry yourself and you keep repeating for astigmatism, you'll realize the nuances of your machine. You'll realize how it varies. Always lubricate the cornea before measurement. That plays a big role in getting a stable astigmatism. Of course, if you're working in an institute practice and you have multiple machines at your disposal, you can use them. But always use them. I've seen many times people don't use all the machines they have. Use it for toric IOLs and see what results each one is giving. And do not round off. I mean, people round off, small cylinders. You already have so many sources of error. You don't need more. Of course, topography helps because it helps you understand the irregularity of astigmatism. And most of the machines measure only anterior corneal astigmatism. What about the posterior cornea? That plays a big role. There are very few machines that measure posterior cornea. Very quickly, understanding what is posterior corneal astigmatism, for the same level of anterior corneal astigmatism, a steeper posterior cornea actually causes a flattening of the total amount of astigmatism. So, actually, as a rule, the posterior cornea is steeper vertically than horizontally. So what that means is for the same amount of anterior corneal curvature, the posterior cornea causes the total cornea to be flatter in the vertical meridian, or in other words, your anterior keratometry measurement devices, they are overestimating your with the rule and they are underestimating your against the rule astigmatism. So if you have a with the rule astigmatism, in this case 0.9 at 97 measured on an anterior corneal device, actually the net astigmatism is just 0.44 at 103, and 0.79 at 24, which is against the rule, is actually 1.07 at 15 degrees. So this plays a big role. So that doesn't mean we have to buy machines which measure posterior cornea, because they have also not, they are not very accurate in their measurement. In fact, the PCA normograms, which are there in almost all calculators nowadays, they work very well. So coming to the biometry part, the Barrett toric calculator is the best calculator in my experience. It works for all IOLs. It has a very good PCA normogram, which time and again has been proved to be very good. It has an option to measure the PCA if you've used a PCA measurement device like IOL Master 700 or Pentacam, but it's not needed. The normogram itself is very good. And very important, it can take an average of 3 keratometry readings and give you an average in the calculator, which no other calculator does. Surgically induced astigmatism is a huge topic to discuss. I won't discuss it in detail. I'll just tell you one thing, that surgically induced astigmatism is very irregular. You cannot measure it because of so many factors, because the wound leak, wound burn, wound stretching due to IOL cartridge, and recently an article by Jack Holliday has shown that the SIA vector also varies with the pre-op keratometry. So there's no point taking your SIA as 0.1, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. It's just going to add more error in your cases. Take it as 0 or 0.1, even if you have not measured it previously, and that should be fine. Coming to the pre-op reference markings, which are done in sitting position, I don't use any of these hi-fi markers. I just use a single freehand mark at the 6 o'clock position. I used to do it initially with a marker directly, but now I mark the cystitome and I use a cystitome to get a marking. I don't prefer 180-degree horizontal marks, because if the patient tends to look up, you get a parallax error. So now what I've started doing is I've started using the smartphone assisted marking to help me improve my outcomes of my reference mark. So I use the iToric app, which is available on the Android by Dr. Saurabh Patwardhan. As you can see, I do a marking at the 6 o'clock position, then I take a photo, then the outer ring is aligned onto the cornea, and you use this red line to mark your 6 o'clock mark. So it will tell you whether it's exactly at 90 or 89 or 96. So in this case, it's showing me that it's at 89. So I know that my mark is near about 90. And this is just a video to show how it's done simply. So in this case, my 6 o'clock mark was somewhere around 100. So I used the Mendes ring to put that at 100, and the IOL now has to be marked at 20 degrees. So I just use a Sinskey hook with markings at 20 degrees. I don't use the other hi-fi equipment, and that's about how my marking goes. And now with the Sinskey hook, I dial the IOL until it comes to about 30 degrees of the final axis. And once it comes to within 30 degrees, I just use my irrigation to nudge it into place. An important tip is that always see your IOL marks after you hydrate the wounds, because there's a chance the IOL may just slip and you may have to re-rotate it. In this case, it works fine. So digital marking like Varion and Callisto, it's not absolutely essential for you get decent results even without that, but for a busy practice, you don't have to do the pre-op marking. So it works in that sense, but it has a high cost to utility ratio. Now, to conclude, I would just like to say the final 4 things. The take-home message for each of these variables: measurement, do it yourself multiple times. Biometry, the Barrett calculator is the best. Do it through the apacrs.org, not directly, because the latest updates come on the APACRS website. Reference markings, smartphones to verify the markings work well. And intra-op alignment, keep it as simple as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Zain. That is a wonderful talk.